one take wonders.
Yeah.
Was I heard Bo's an actor?
Oh man, you know how it is. You know how it is. There's levels in this game, buddy. You know how it is.
There is, man. I was just doing a film last night. But here we go.
Here we go.
All right. We're very excited to have actor and comedian T.J. Miller. Is that a hatchet of some sort?
Tactical master. Is that for the role?
Tactical throwing axes.
And your arms in a sling. What happened?
From axe throwing.
Really?
No kidding.
I'm an axe thrower. Ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies. You guys
okay. Is the axe throwing for this role that you're playing, or is this something totally
No, this is my passion, you know, and a lot of people think I'm a comedian or an actor, a voiceover artist, a devoted husband. But I'm not any of those things. I'm an axe thrower. Deep down, deep within myself, and so I throw. When you guys are doing other things, when you're watching television or Netflix or talking to women and then subsequently having intercourse with them, I'm throwing. I got an axe in one hand and an axe in the other. Well, not right now.
Well, is it all weaponry or just axes? Because I mean, I got a sword wall right beside me here.
What is this sword shit?
No swords? Okay, I gotta ask.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
King Arthur's Round Table? No, it's all axes all the time.
Axes
Bo,
are bust.
show him your swords again. I don't think he's
yeah. I mean, dude. I mean, come on. You gotta respect. I mean, it's my war room. Okay, so I have all this weaponry and stuff. I always wanted as a kid. So when I got older, I got some money. I'm like, I'm gonna make a war room. So I've got all these weapons and swords and axes. I got some axes. I'll show you later. But yeah,
What is that smell?
The smell is manliness.
Like sword shit.
It's manliness, dude. It's manly war room stuff. Yeah.
Let me see your axes.
Okay, I got one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Well, I always thought it was a red flag if you have swords, snakes, and a moped.
That's a pretty great axe. That's a good axe.
Yeah, dude. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, it's all hand carved. Got another one. Hold on.
Great.
You thought I was? I'm not lying, dude.
I love a leather bound axe. I always have.
Right. It feels good.
Very impressive.
But you know, they're just for show. They're not. I actually have gone axe throwing before, but I've never used it on a human, which is really the purpose for it. But maybe one day.
Is it?
Well, I'm excited because we have
Is
TJ
the purpose to use it on a human? Or
not necessarily.
A skilled axe thrower that is impressive to women who will subsequently have intercourse with you under the very tree you were throwing at.
So that's the objective. Is like the peacock with axe throwing. It's like the ultimate flex. I'm getting it. I'm figuring it out now. I wondered why my wife always jumps me when I'm in this room with axes and swords. That's like always the room it happens in. And now I know why. It's the manliness of just.
I don't have any axes, and that explains a lot for me.
That makes sense.
Is it true that you as a child wanted a war room? Are you like a Lord of the Rings guy? Are you more?
No. So what it is I take a second. I have all my favorite movies growing up: 300, Gladiator, Braveheart, Troy, Book of Eli. All these movies that had these awesome swords in it, right? So as a kid, I'm like, man, I want that sword. So now in my room, I have the poster with the sword above the poster. So I just kind of look at it, inspires me, keeps me motivated to do it. Here's Alexander back here. You know,
I saw that.
Got to stay motivated.
He has like replica swords from movies and Game of Thrones, and
I asked a kid, he was a stand-up comic, Adam White. And he's very funny, out of Louisville, Kentucky. He used to play the Comedy Caravan, and he moved to Chicago for a while. He never made that move to Los Angeles or New York. And he was very, very funny, a very strange dude of his own admission. And he had swords like Bo, you know. He had a Lord of the Rings sword, and he had a sword from, it was mostly Lord of the Rings stuff, but he had different swords. And he just loved them, and they were expensive. You know, these things aren't cheap because they're actual swords.
Yeah.
And one day I was like, why? Because I got him a job at the law firm that I was at, sort of as my day job when I was doing comedy in Chicago. In the very beginning, and he had all his swords, and I said to him, why do you have these swords? I just asked him at work one day. And he said, well, I don't know. I mean, I think, and I go, because you have all these swords and you keep them in your, and they're a big thing for you and they're expensive. He said, I think I like those movies so much that it just makes me feel nice to be around something from the movie.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so fascinating that he kind of, however he was feeling, he could look over at his sword and be like,
Yeah.
I love that. I thought it was so great.
dude, honestly, it seems with me because like if I'm feeling down or I'm feeling like like things aren't going the way you want to get motivated, sometimes I'll hold like a sword from 300. Think about Leonidas, think about Braveheart, Mel Gibson, and it's something in that. There's some kind of like tactile something that you can hold that kind of reminds you maybe what you're doing, why you're doing it. There's something masculine historically about that. So I really don't know what it is. I've always loved it, and now in this room, it's like I stay motivated most of the time.
I love that. So when you take the sword down, do you do a little bit of that? Or you
No,
just hold it for the power?
I just hold it with the power, dude. It like surges me with power, bro. It's wild. It's like
That is so funny.
it's a drug.
Speaking of drugs, I've never been on drugs, but I feel like I'm on drugs right now, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying this so far.
You've never been on drugs?
No. I'm a Mormon.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, this is a way different interview than I thought.
Yeah.
I got a sword guy. I got a
Yeah.
I'm gonna sing. Let's do this thing.
This is what happens. This is what happens when like you are who you are, which is just you rift. You go in. You like don't have anything planned. I see it, dude. That's nice. A little smaller than mine, but it's okay. It's not about the size. It's about
where to go. It's in the wall.
Who fucking knows?
We will never know. That's the thing. Are you going to bring?
Don't worry about it.
So tomorrow morning, you're going to be on our morning show, my morning show. Are you bringing the axes with you?
No, you can't fly with them.
Well, he's going to be in Greensboro at the Comedy Zone, just so you know, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 5 different shows. And you can check him out nationwide, his tour. I love this. You can go to tjmiller.doesnothaveawebsite.com, which
I don't. I just plain don't.
You're just you, man. Like, there's only one of you. You know that, right? Like, if all the people we've interviewed and talked to and seen,
about Bo.
You're just you, man.
And his swords.
Man, that's if I'm known for that, then that's fine.
No, there's no other. You're your own guy.
You have the most distinct voice, dude. Like I'll be watching a movie with my wife, and I'll be like, immediately, I know it's you, TJ Miller. Like I was looking through your credits, it's just astronomical. And so a question I did actually have for you, like being voiceover versus on-screen actor, you could ask a lot of the same shitty questions all the time, right? But this is gonna be a little different.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, because I'm an actor, I like knowing process and things like that. When you're doing voiceover, do you have a lot more freedom as far as adding, changing anything, or are you having to do exactly what's on the page as you do a lot of times in front of camera? Like, what is that like a little bit?
Oh, I never do the exact. I shot on a movie yesterday, and there was just no chance that I was going to do. When people hire me, they're sort of hiring an improviser and a writer, kind of almost more than an actor. And so I don't really do. I don't do so. What I do is I do the whatever it is as written, unless I hate it, and then I'll sort of improvise. And usually they'll use what I improvise because it's kind of more. I don't know how to say it. It's not just that it's truer to me. That sounds really.
No, it makes sense. It's in your rhythm. It's in your rhythm.
Yeah,
it comes.
I know how to make myself the funniest that I can be, sort of. Yeah. So, yesterday there was 2 lines in the script that just weren't well written. They were a little too like, you don't have to be a dick when you're giving her the dick. I'm just stuff like that, kind of really bro-y. And I understood why, but because the character is sort of supposed to be a douchebag, but it's like you can do that in more subversive and smart ways. So I sort of improvised my way out of that. And I think, you know, it was like the lines were like, you know, I'm fighting with this guy. The movie's about AI and AI developers. And I'm fighting with the co-founder of this company, Athena. And that's the name of the company. And then I'm fighting with this guy, and he's kind of like, well, at least I don't fuck teenagers or something. And then I think my character was supposed to say something like, hey, if they're old enough to drink, they're old enough to get the dick, or some version of that.
Yeah.
And I just changed it to like, they're not, you know, at least I don't fuck teenagers. And I was like, they are women of a certain age in a different country. You know, so that's really funny. And then he's like, why'd you call one of them your girlfriend? And I'm like, because I love her. I love her.
Well, so is it a forgiveness or permission thing? I mean, do you just go in like I'm going to do this, or do you kind of say?
No, they kind of know, but I'm good. You know, now
Okay.
I've worked enough that I'm good at sort of coming over and being like, look, I had this idea. We can do it your way. And then when I pitch on the idea and you've got the guy laughing, then, you know, but they know and this guy was really, really, really interesting. The director of this thing, he was, he used to be a soap star. I mean, I guess he still is, but he used to be on a soap opera. And I forget if it was, what are the big ones? There's Days of Our Lives.
Young and Restless, General Hospital.
He's not General Hospital. As the World Turns, maybe?
Okay.
No? Young and the Restless.
What? Bold and the Beautiful?
He would refer to it as a, well, I mean, we have the internet. Hold on. I love we're still pretending to be like guys from another era.
Look up in the encyclopedia.
Yeah, like
my Britannica.
Just sitting and talking about it and thinking about it and, you know,
yucking it up.
When we could just, all we have to do is look on the internet. We're going, well, what if it's, and so he used to be an improviser, and he used to be, hold on, it was this big, is it?
General.
Days of Our Lives. Days of Our Lives. So they would say DOOL. I think it's, but he was on there for fucking 7 years or something. He did 1,104 episodes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Can you fucking imagine that? And I saw that and I was like, I thought it was like he was in episode 1104. It's like, no, dude, those guys work. And then in their contract, they work for 5 days. I found all this about all this yesterday. They work for 5 days usually, and then on the weekends they would fly them to like Vancouver and just all over wherever it played. They would fly those people to those, and they would do press, and they would do photos and signature, all this stuff. And he didn't say how much, but I think what I gathered is that they make a lot of money, like
doing that many,
because they have to pay these guys. Yeah. They take over their lives completely, and so it's really interesting. So he always wanted to do movies, but they sort of just contractually you're not allowed.
Yeah, they don't let you.
But they would say, "Oh yeah, no, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out the schedule." And they always kind of were like, it's just a really bad time. You know, we need you to do this stuff.
Well, TJ, they shoot like multiple episodes a day too. Like they'll give you sides. It's crazy.
He said they shoot 30 pages a day, I think. So I think, and the memorization for that is like, you know, really, really crazy because it's right. They're putting together the shows, and the shows are on every single day, and they have to kind of keep current. It was really fascinating. I just want to like go to dinner with him and be like, what was that? Like, tell me everything about it. But he realized pretty quickly that the only way he was going to be able to do film was to write his own films and direct them. And so that's what he started doing when he was really young. So this is like the 4th or 3rd movie that he's done. And then he hooked up with a company, financiers. They have a slate of 4 films, and this is the first of those 4 films. And it was really interesting. And they came to me and said, "Hey, we're interested in you doing this part." And I sort of met with them, and I do a lot in the sort of blockchain Web3 space. I'm a big Bitcoin guy, and I'm probably the only person in Hollywood that really speaks on behalf of Bitcoin. I went to Bitcoin Nashville. I'm speaking at Bitcoin Las Vegas.
Wow.
And so, I do a lot of. I was the first comedian to release an NFT. I made 2 NFTs during that sort of era.
So you really
And
get
then,
it then, because that's high like frequency stuff.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
really understand it.
I am absolutely fascinated by it. But yeah, I love Bitcoin. I love Ethereum and blockchain and Web3 shit and all that. So this AI, and I try to work on. I had this great thing going that was a AI project that was going to be not tjmiller.ai. So it was just going to ingest everything I had ever done and then become an autonomous, proactive, and reactive AI version of me. And so proactive and autonomous means that it can like tweet at me and be like, dude, we should have a rap battle unless you're a pussy, and then I can like have a rap battle with it, and it'll prepare the beats and all that. So it's really, really crazy. So because this was about, the AI world, I thought it was really interesting. And it also was the interesting part because the whole time, for the most part, I'm in Ibiza. So I'm not even like, I'm zooming in. And I thought that was really interesting because it's almost like I was dropping in on the film and I'm in a different world, sort of,
Yeah.
as I'm going through this stuff. So it just, the everything about it kind of lined up. I don't know if it's going to be a great movie.
You never
But
know. Yeah, you never
I
know when
think
you're doing
that's
it.
how I feel about everything. And I just
Yeah.
reminded myself, I was talking to my wife, Bo. I also have a wife.
Of course you do, of course. I'm sure she's
Uh,
lovely.
and I don't know. That's the reason I'm in the sling. I don't know how lovely she is.
Got a little
But
rough.
I was talking to her about it, and I said, it really, I mean, Bo, you're an actress, so you kind of just said it yourself just now, but you never know. And I thought Cloverfield was going to be a bad movie. I thought, I mean, I didn't think Transformers was going to be a bad movie. I thought it was going to be a very good version of Transformers, and it is. It's just about 2 hours too long, but
You
there's,
thought Ready Player One was going to be a bomb, right? You're like, who's a Spielberg cat?
I couldn't even pronounce his last name.
Right?
But there were like a couple, yeah, there've been a few films where I was like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being, better than I ever could have imagined. I'm trying to think of the other one. There's one other one. I've been in a couple things where I'm like, there's no possible way this will be good, and then they end up being fantastic. So you just never know, and it was good to do the part.
TJ, you've do something regularly that I don't think most people understand, and that's like when you step on the set when it's mid production, and you're given day 2, a week and a half to hit your mark, to be in the synergy of this set, and then to not miss a beat day 1. People don't understand how complicated, how hard that is to not be there from the beginning sometimes. And you've done this on every like role that it's a standard. Like Get Into the Greek, for example. I was thinking about that earlier. It's like you have to step in mid stride with this film and then not miss a beat versus having the full production of the team from the very beginning is so much more difficult to step in on those days when it's mid production. Like, what is that like for you? I know for me, that's the hardest thing I've ever done is just come in for a day or two and then you're gone and you don't know, you don't have the energy of the set.
Well, Bo, that's because you care. So
Wait,
I don't
obviously
care.
you come in like so relaxed.
So
It
I
has
don't.
to be
So,
that way. You
so I
seem so
don't care.
chill on set. It's wild.
So I don't. So I don't care. So I just kind of come in. Get Into the Greek
I
is
need
a
to
perfect
take that.
example where I'm just from a different thing. It's just I suddenly drop into the film. I have this hilarious part. It was such a good bit. I mean
Yeah,
that's
it's amazing.
to me that's that and Puff Daddy smoking that Jeffrey joint.
Uh-huh.
Those two are just both so funny. But to me, the funniest bit is that these, Nicholas Stoller and Jonah Hill were just like, they just were like, this will be so funny. if just suddenly he tries to get heroin, the guy brings him, sells him heroin, then he gets stabbed and he has to take him to the hospital, and then he gets back. And
Yeah,
it
that's
just
one of
is
the best
like
parts of the
such a
whole movie,
departure.
for sure.
It's so funny. So that's easy because I just come in and I am that. But I think I know I'm teasing, but it is, I just don't really overthink any of this stuff.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really bother me. I'm not like a real actor guy. Like I can already tell, Bo, first of all, you're much more handsome than I am. But it's kind of a, well, Jared, and you're more handsome than him. So I don't know where I land.
That's true.
Fucking
It's tough.
Below
Yeah.
the belt.
this handsome ladder. No, but so I really do find myself just kind of going in and focusing on the comedy. So it's like, what is the comedy? How do we do? And it's interesting. I was also talking to Kate about this. In this part, it's like I didn't like the lines about like, if they're old enough to get the dick, then I'm gonna give it to them and all that stuff. And I didn't like that. So I just found the thing that I told you guys about and sort of did that as but I like that comedically. But by virtue of that, it also adds a lot of empathy to the character.
Sure.
So here we are having me sort of not, it's not a genius move or anything, but here we have me sort of closing my final line, which I just thought was the funniest, is me being like, well, you said, oh, fuck, why'd you call the last one your girlfriend? I'm just like, because I love her.
Right.
I love her.
Right.
Yeah.
I still love her. Well, that's just funny to me, but it adds a lot of, like sympathy for this character. You just, in one moment, you realize that he's totally fucked up on Molly, trying to be cool by being in Ibiza, and he's still a very emotionally like wounded dude.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like, check it out, look at all these bitches I've got, all that stuff. And so sometimes the comedy actually leads me to the moments that I think people are like, wow, he's a good actor. Whereas I'm not really. I think the richest things comedically are usually have multiple levels to it. And that's why Ehrlich was kind of, one of the reasons Ehrlich was such a great character, first of all, was that I got to spend a lot of time doing that character, just the right amount of time. I was like this close to being over it. And or not being over it, but I was sort of going on autopilot. If you can do a job, and then when you're not on camera, you can literally actually be high, because you're playing a guy who's stoned. But if you can actually be high and still do your job, that's maybe not a job that you need to be doing any longer, because you're sort of cheating the audience of a performance that is at its highest caliber, I think.
Well, I want to go back to what you said. You are an amazing actor, because it's undeniable. Not just credits. Well, let me finish. But the thing is that that's a skill set that separates you.
Bo, quit being a pussy. Okay?
I'm telling you the truth. Here's what separates you.
Go grab
you.
one of those swords right now.
It separates you is your timing.
With this,
your timing is what separates you from so many other people. Because like it's not just your delivery, it's the timing of it. And I think that probably has to play a big role in your comedy.
I think being a comic relief in any movie.
But timing is comedy.
Yes.
That's more comedy than,
Yeah, we gotta let you go. But what are some of your comedic influences? I mean, because you do tons of stand up. You're gonna be in our area. Like, who are your people? Or is there some people now that you really enjoy? But
I like Jared.
Who do you look up to?
I like Jared P, and that's because he knows that we're doing this interview tomorrow. But Jared is a great friend of Bo's, and so Jared said Bo's got some questions about acting. He's an actor. I'm going to let him kind of take the front seat, and that's a form of support and giving that you
we're
find.
Good buddies. No, it is. We're good buddies.
And a great radio personality. I like. First of all, Bo, I'm teasing you, but I really I appreciate you saying that. And I think, but listen, all the timing is comedy, I think it's funny too, Jared, because it's like, I never think of it as comedic relief. I don't know why. Maybe I think there's like some negative connotation to that, because there's not. I don't know, that would be on me. But I sort of think of it as, I'll sort of provide the comedy of the film,
Right.
And so like in Ready Player One, I don't know that you need relief. Now, in Cloverfield and Underwater, that is comedic relief. that is there's a level of tension throughout that movie that I break it consistently, especially in Cloverfield, because I'm sort of in it all the time. Where Underwater I haven't seen, so I don't know. But I do know from the script that it's like, there's when things get fucking hot and heavy. Why would I say that? Rawr. When things get sort of too tense, then I swoop in and do a joke, and everyone, ha 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 ha,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
build the tension back up. So that's very much that. But it's like in Office Christmas Party. I mean, I'm the star of that film, but there's no real comedic. We don't really need any relief,
Sure.
And She's Out of My League. You don't really need relief. It's just I'm kind of the most best friend comedy of that. But then that's not true because Nate Torrance, the guy who does the barber scene when he manscapes him, which is just one of the funniest. If you guys haven't that movie,
Oh yeah, it's a hilarious movie. Yeah,
that movie is so funny. And he's so funny, but he's not a comedic relief. It's just the whole thing is a comedy,
Sure.
But I think when I watch people early on, I loved Steve Martin. That's why I wanted to become a stand-up comic. My mother thought he was the funniest fucking person in the world. And boy, the two of you, all three of us look like real mama's boys. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Why would I do that noise again in conjunction with talking about mothers? Weird.
yeah, totally makes sense.
So,
No, but it's funny how your parents will influence you in like your taste, because mine was Jim Carrey. And so my dad and my mom thought he was the funniest thing in the world. And so because of that, I kind of adapted some of those little isms that he did just to kind of, telling stories, whatever. It kind of, yeah. Well,
you're probably more of a physical comedian and performer because of that. Because we want to sort of do the thing that we think our parents will be proud of us for doing, or will enjoy us doing and enjoy seeing.
What would their reaction be if, kind of thing? Yeah,
exactly. That's a great way of putting it. That's some sword talk right there, Bill.
Yeah, baby.
And then
I'm smarter than I look, I promise.
You don't look very smart, but
Listen, so it's
he was roasted by TJ Miller himself. I love it.
With that Patagonia fleece, we know you're smart.
Well, I gotta say, your stand-up thrives on improv, right? I mean, it's just like off the rip, and that to me is something that is a skill set that's
scary.
It's not teachable. Yeah, it's not teachable. You're either born with it or you're not.
And I talk about this, and then that was the comedic influence. I did get to meet Steve Martin once, and that was a real mind blow. I have something. Actually, this apartment almost burned down. Let me show you guys something really quickly, because this is interesting. Because
you're live.
Where is it? Kate sort of.
You think you'd like this?
Oh, here it is. Yep. All right. So Kate said, "I'll show this to you then." But that was sort of pretty. That was my major influence. And I'll just talk about the improv. But look, this house. I'm in Los Angeles right now, and this apartment almost burned down. And Kate was like, "I need," and I actually have to get. She has two. She has her cat's ashes, and her great friend who died a few years ago. She has the ashes, some of the ashes of her friend, and those were here. And so she said, if this burns down, I'm going to lose that. Those are my two most precious things. Of course, I'm like waiting to make the joke of like, well, if it burns down, there'll be plenty of ashes. You just
gather up again.
Scoop them up.
and she goes, no, but you also have that Steve Martin card, and then here it is.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, that's awesome. What does it say? I can't quite see it.
So it says, hold on. So it says, January 18th, 2013, Dear TJ, great work, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time, reading the script, driving over, parking, taking the elevator, and then doing great performances on top of it. Excellent, clear work with no curly cues. So
wow, yeah.
But what's interesting about that is she said, "Oh my God, it'll burn down, and that'll be burned down." And I forgot that I had it, and then also was like, "Who cares?" And she was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, the memory of meeting him and all that's really all I need. I don't need the physical. But I also have bad memories of that thing. My cousin, who no longer talks to me, he was the one who framed it and got it in like a museum level framing because his wife was heckling me at a wedding, and so I just came at her a little too hard, probably. But we were all drunk. It's like I'm with all these friends, and you just should know, you just can't like heckle me. You just
Why would you
Yeah.
heckle an all-star comedian?
you
Yeah.
just can't be like, hey, TJ's in the wrong place. Everybody, look, TJ's in the wrong. I mean, you can only say that twice before I'm just gonna unload.
There's a lot of victims in comedy clubs around this country, I think, probably because they
Yes.
did something like that. I've seen some of
Yeah,
the
they all
stuff.
go. We kick them out, and they all are in the lobby going, "Oh, what? I'm not supposed to laugh? Is that it?
Well, you know, this is the humor.
We're not allowed to laugh. Is that? We're not allowed to laugh, exactly. But that, and then an assistant that sort of when I got it, and I like added the periods because he didn't put periods in my name, and that bothers me. She was like, "You ruined it. Look what you did. You completely ruined it." And I was like, "Wow, what a bitch." Later, we would find out that she was fucking a married guy in my office whenever I was out of town. So that's really cool. But so that's what I was saying. I was like, you have all
That's
these
LA for you.
connotations. Yeah, you have all these connotations. You have all these things, and so you don't really need them. You just need the memory because you can save the memory. You can't. So that was really lucky with regards to the fact that I don't give a shit. I kind of wish this place burned down because we have so much junk. But it is true. There's 2 paintings that my wife is an artist. There are 3 paintings that are just absolutely fantastic. So it would have been a bummer to lose those. But also, if she can paint other ones, and she's
My wife's an artist too. My wife paints.
I mean, then
Are
we
married
should
to the
all
same
go out
person?
to dinner and not have intercourse together because I'm just
Absolutely, just dinner.
That's
We'd have a
great.
rip roaring time. Well, hopefully we can come see you this weekend in Greensboro, man. That's what we're hoping. I'll bring my wife.
I would love that. My wife isn't able to come, but I'll hold up a picture of my wife, and the 4 of us can have a conversation. I'll
we'll take a
FaceTime
picture.
her.
And I'll bring my girlfriend.
Yeah, you should,
Yeah,
Jared. As well, you should. But so the improv, I think you can teach it. It's helpful to have some innate talent. But what I tell people, and this is, it's the reason everybody kind of is like, well, what advice do you have? I'm just like, work. Do as much work as you possibly can. Because, and if you're an actor, that means learn scenes, write stuff to put videos on YouTube, learn about how to be in front of the camera. But when I was in high school, I used to improvise for hours a week, sometimes like hours a day, because our drama teacher was brilliant. She was a genius, but she was also kind of lazy. So some days she would come in and just be like, you guys just improvise. And anybody who wants to get on stage, improvise. But I went to this kind of mostly Black and Latino high school. It was a ghetto high school. And we had, metal detectors the first year,
Oh, wow. The whole thing.
So it was a lot of gangsters that were and gang members that were in the class, and they didn't want to improvise. But they were pretty interesting audience members because some of them were very high and they were always trying to be cool or whatever. So it ended up being me and like these 4 other white guys, and there's a girl who jumped up also. And we would just improvise, and we would keep improvising. We improvised for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. If it was a block class, we'd be on stage for 2 or 3 hours.
Does it become like a muscle memory thing? So when any situation comes up, you have something you can.
I think, yeah. I mean, and then in college, I joined a comedy group, and we improvised, and we got together and rehearsed from 10 to midnight, Monday through Thursday. So if you can just imagine in college what the 3 of us were doing from 10 to midnight every night, it was not rehearsing comedy and improv. And so, I think other people just kind of party during that time. And for us, that's how important the comedy group was. And so I just got so many reps doing improv. And then as soon as I moved to Chicago, I went right in taking improv classes, watching improvisational comedy, all that stuff. So I've just done, 100,000.
You've done the work, the 10,000 hours. Yeah, the 10,000 hour motto, right?
But where I said, I said 100,000. It might not be that much, but it's a lot more than 10,000 hours. And then I improvise on set and that. So sometimes I say like I am a comedian first, and I would say if people say, what is the thing that you are the most? If you see me on stage in stand-up, I was talking about this yesterday because I did a set last night. And you know what? And my wife, my fucking wife, said to me, she was drunk, of course, but she was drunk, and I'm talking to
Of
her,
course.
and she's like, "Oh, look at what we got here." I was like, "What?" And she's like, "You're doing a set?" And I was like, "Yeah." And you just came from a set. And I go, "No. I'm only doing one show tonight because the other one was on Wednesday, so I was going. I'm only doing one set. I didn't come from any other set." She goes, "No, you came from set, and you went and did a set, didn't you?"
Oh.
I was like, she's got me
She's
there.
got wit.
So, but that's the thing is like, I am the guy who shot whatever it was, 9 hours, or, when I was up and starting to work on stuff, I probably shot a 12 or 14 hours.
Huh.
And right up until wrap, I was on the phone with the club booker because Laugh Factory is only 7 minutes away from where we were. And I fucking, good night, nice to see you. Hello, it's a wrap. I'll see you later. Let's talk when I'm back in town. Boom, Uber to the club, walk in. Russell Peters is about to go on, but this guy, Ruben, it's his Ruby Tuesday show. He's like, do you want to go on or do you want Russell to? I'm like, in my mind, well, whatever. It's whatever you guys want to do, because I was maybe going to meet some other people. Like, whatever you want to do. And then Ruben was like, you go up. And so I walked in the club, basically bumped Russell Peters. He was going to go on because I didn't get there yet. But basically finished on set, wrapped, said goodbye to everybody, walked into the comedy club, went on stage, did a spot, came off, and the owner of the Laugh Factory came over and we just started chopping it up. He's like, "You're so comfortable on stage. You're just like really, really comfortable up there." And I was like, the best compliment I ever get, and I get this in film sometimes too, but the best compliment I ever get is somebody after a show will be like, "That was so cool. It was just like we were hanging out with you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Just you.
I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's just like, it's almost like we were all just like hanging out." And it was like somebody said, it was like I was just in your living room. And I think that is my greatest strength. Even more than how funny I am. I think that people, and it's just because I love people and I'm a kind individual and all those sorts of things, but I like to make people laugh, and I love to make people happy because life is so fundamentally tragic. But I love the idea of that. I think my greatest strength is when you see me on screen, when you see me on stage and those things, you just feel like you're hanging out. You just feel like we're buddies. And if we went and had a drink after the movie or after the show, that it would be a blast and I would be easy. I'm not going to make you feel uncomfortable or weird or any of that stuff. And this kid who's the nephew of Adam Sandler, we were talking about Sandler, this kid, Tyler Spindell, he's a brilliant director in his own right. And we were talking and I was like, why do you think Sandler is so successful? And he was like, two things. One, when he yells, it just sounds funny. It's just funny when he yells. And he goes, but he just seems like a dude who, and it was sort of these two things. It's so fascinating. He was like, he just seems like a dude who you can have a beer with and just hang out with and chop it up. But he also looks like he would maybe kick your ass. Like he could, if shit went down and somebody was fucking with you, he also looks and is like a guy who will get your back and fucking, punch a motherfucker for saying the wrong thing to your wife or girlfriend. And I just thought that was so interesting because I had never thought of him like that. But then once you point it out, you completely see how it's the case. And I think I have a little bit of that because I don't look mean. I'm not a mean guy. But I think when people see me, especially like she's out of my league, it's just you see how I could fiercely come to the aid of those who need it.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely a fair point.
Well, now we got warmed up, we're going to start the podcast if you're ready to hit record.
I'm ready, but don't record it.
You've been more than generous with your time. And look, I have to say this, my co-host, you'll meet her tomorrow, Katie. She's like a foodie. And when you sent the peanut butter, or your people sent the peanut butter to us, she was like eating it with a spoon. And so
Yeah, you don't need anything. You don't even need a spoon. Here's my gross joke. You don't even need a spoon. You just use 2 fingers, you know?
well, that's what I did. Yeah.
And if you know what you're doing, you can use 3, but only if you know what you're doing.
But not a whole fist.
No, I wouldn't do that. That's
No fisting the peanut butter.
what about this? My new tagline on stage is I like to go yum yum yum,
I love
and Kate doesn't like it. She thinks I should stop doing it. Just don't
This is the
understand
last
it.
thing you say. Yum yum yum.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I don't know why, but she thinks it's gross, and it's the connotation is that it's like cunnilingus or sexual. And I just don't think it is. I think it's so silly. But she also got mad at me when I would hiss at the audience. So there was a period where I would
She
just
seems
go,
like a tough critic. So
Yeah.
she's a tough critic on you. She lets you know when she likes or doesn't like things.
She
He's a
needs
shark.
to get over it.
Get over it. I'm professional.
Jared, I'll see you tomorrow, Bo. I'll see you at Greensboro Comedy Zone.
Yeah, I may stop by tomorrow at the studio. Yeah.
That'd be great.
All right, brother.
We appreciate it, and we'll let
man.
people know when we post on social media where they get, your hot sauce, your comedy tour, all the
Please
stuff.
do. Yeah.
Peanut butter.
Yeah,
And
it's good stuff.
I'll repost this.
My
Okay.
man.
All right, TJ.
Pleasure,
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
That was cool. Since we're just gonna have this on here to keep our still recording, let me let people know his hot sauce. He has different flavors of hot sauce. The peanut butter is. We have an inside joke. We can get into some other time about peanut butter, but he actually had a comedy album called Smooth Peanut Butter. But he actually does sell peanut butter, and it's like a dip. There's different flavor, but it's so good. And then his hot sauce, he has some funny names. It's Gangster Heat, Effing Intense Ghost Pepper, Type S, Diet Hot Sauce flavors, and more. But TJ Miller does not have a website.com for his tour, his peanut butter, and everything. And if you're in the Greensboro area, he's going to be there Thursday or the 13th through the 15th. And then, of course, he's has a nationwide tour. And again, found at tjmillerdoesnothaveawebsite.com. That was fun.
He's exactly how I would think he would be. That's so refreshing,
Right. Yeah. He was like, we can do 20 minutes. And then I'm like, he's rolling at 30, 35. I'm like, all right, well, let's.
Yeah, I mean,
let's go.
it's so refreshing to have people like genuinely themselves, and that translates, though. I think people see that. People see how he really is like this in real life, and not just an act.
Now tomorrow's going to be a challenge because morning show has time constraints.
Oh boy, you're gonna be in trouble.
To keep him in, but he's coming at 9:30. We end at 10, so that will be that. But
okay,
we'll have to finagle it. But in this, I think we both are smart enough to let him be him because at first. Because they want to see, his people wants to get to stuff, but I don't think he cared. I don't think he cared.
Yeah, I mean, his website tells it all. He is the brand.
Yeah.
He's selling his brand.
Yeah,
he does a great job. He's awesome.
All right, Bo. Great job. And
you too, Jerry. Bye,
bro. See you.
See you.